Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming. My name is Farah Altaweel, and today I'll be speaking to you about empowering children through design education. First of all, let me address the subject of my talk, children, and ask this question. What are children doing? Well, children are doing multiple things. They're showcasing multiple traits and behavior on a regular basis, like being really curious in the world around them, being very active and engaging their senses in every way, and showing interesting interactions with everything around them through play. Unfortunately, kids also tend to get into dangerous situations that are hazardous as well. And it's fair also to mention that sometimes parents and caregivers might be frustrated about kids' really weird and hard to answer questions, or hyperactivity, or really want them to grow up in a safe environment where they don't injure themselves. But it's also fair to mention that we need to keep a close attention to how children behave around us on a daily basis. Author and educator Erica Christakis, in her book, The Importance of Being Little, states that children themselves contain within their brains the ingredient of their development. If we observe them carefully, they will show us the way forward. And actually, a lot of educators say that kids' different behaviors and traits are roadmaps for parents and educators in order to understand how to cater to children, how to understand their skills, help them meet their potential, and help to cater for developmental needs. And I believe in the importance of that because children are an investment. And if we empower them and help cater to them, we will be able to make sure that they grow up in a future where they're confident to face daily challenges, and they're also confident to independently live in a knowledge-based society where they know how to improve the quality of their life. The first step to actually start understanding and working on that is by understanding the different developmental stages in children. Now, research indicates that childhood starts from the moment a child is born until they're either 11 or 12 years old. And that means that at each developmental stage, a child has improved their cognitive skills, their abilities physically, and their comprehension abilities. And as they grow, these abilities become more complicated and more sophisticated that we need to understand and cater to. Why I think that's connected to design thinking? Well, I think design thinking in itself and its core, it's about learning about people's different behaviors and feelings and try to respond to that, as stated by veteran designer Stephen Heller. And I am interested in that because I am trained as a graphic designer in VCU Qatar. And upon graduation, I was able to work at the Children's Museum project under Qatar Museum and learn how to actually build very appropriate interactions and engaging activities for children, depending on their age, their needs, and their culture. And from there, I was able to do my MA of Art and Art and Design Education degree in Rhode Island School of Design, where I actually learned what my true life endeavor is, which I think is using design thinking to explore and develop creative learning opportunities for children. And I think the interesting thing about creative learning is that it's a very natural and very organic process that we all go through on a regular basis, because we all have goals that we want to achieve, and we try to inspect our own resources and abilities in order to try and achieve that. And that's done through sometimes spontaneous method that makes us arrive at a moment of clearance that when we get there, that we actually want to experience that again. And actually, this is something that kids are really, really good at because they have limited abilities and limited resources, but yet they have a lot of big goals that are bigger than them that they're trying to achieve. For me, that's interesting because this process actually resembles a lot the design process. And the design process for us designer consists of problem solving or identifying a problem and then trying to research a way to solve it. And when we are doing that, we're also coming up with the idea of how to come out of what the solution is and try to create that solution and bring it to life. And once we do that, we try to test the potential of this idea and see if there is room for improvement. And the great thing about this process is that it actually exists in different forms and through different disciplines, either engineering or medicine or paleontology, you can name it. So the ways that I think that design thinking can be applied in ways to support children is by either using it to create experiences for children or spaces, or by teaching it to children. One example that I want to go over where I was able to use the design process to create an experience for children is when, sorry, your clicker. Okay, I was faced by this challenge during my MA degree where I had to create, please pay attention, an A5 card that is for the most part visual that had to explain to 10 or 11-year-old children one of the statements in the article of human rights for children created by the UNICEF. I hope that's clear. So what I did is I went to the next step of the problem solving, which is the research. And I started researching the age group I'm supposed to work with. I researched the topic, and I tried to look for examples that tackled the same problem or tried to solve the same problem. Later, I wanted to come up with the idea. So I chose the statement that I would like to help children understand, and I tried to break it down. And when I broke it down, I wanted to highlight specific elements, which is the right to go to school, the right to play, the right to develop, and the right to learn how to be responsible. And the way that I wanted to do that, I wanted to do it in an engaging way that doesn't require a lot of instructions, and that opens some room for collaboration and conversation among children who are going to be doing it. And it's also a gamified style, so it's engaging for the children of that age. And then I tried to graphically design all the icons that I think resemble each element that I mentioned earlier and color code them. For example, the yellow ones are the ones that belong to the school statement, where kids have to go to school. And in my mind, I believe that we need to help our children understand that going to school does not mean that you only spend the time at school, but you have to have the right support system at home, you have to get to school safely, and you have to have the right resources in order for you to do well. The same is applied among the other categories, which is playing and self-development and gaining responsibility. That then was taken and applied in a rubric or a template that resembled the bingo game, with really simple instructions added and an invitation for an adult moderator to be able to actually guide the conversation forward. Once that was executed, what I did is that I shared it with a group of children from one of the schools in Rhode Island. And what was really great, that I realized that kids have high recognition abilities of things that are very deep, like showcasing empathy and understanding what it means to have rights as a child, and what does it mean for me as a child when another child who might go to the same school does not have these rights. What can I do? And for me, this now didn't become about the design, it became about the conversation that the children were having based on the design that was presented to them. And based on that, I was really inspired to use the design process to create multiple learning tools that serve different purposes. Something that can help children with dyslexia, something that it can also help children to learn different scientific concepts, or something that can help children with cognitive skills like sorting or counting or task completion. And from there, I actually thought it would be a good idea to also start teaching the process to children. And one example that I can share with you about teaching it is a program or a project that we did, part of the Learning and Outreach program within the Children's Museum, where we wanted to teach children about the process of designing exhibitions. And for us, the challenge was for children to come up with the content, what they wanted to do, and how would the final exhibition look like and where the space would be. And what was really great, that children were able to actually work on the narrative themselves, decide what the labels are, and decide who are they presenting this exhibition to. And I was able to help them to come up and design the space and decide how everything is going to be spaced out for them. What was really great, that also, again, this was not only about the design process that they had to go through, because it's a really complicated process, but also the conversations they were able to have, the collaboration that they went through. They were able to express themselves and express their art to people who are strangers, who are adults, although they were like really young. And that was really eye-opening for me, because I realized that the skills that they were gaining were not only design skills, but there are life skills that are going to help them with their future, skills that are recommended for everyone to gain in order to survive in the current socio-political climate, which is creative thinking, critical thinking and creative thinking, collaborating, empathy, being able to actually solve problems that may face them and they might need to face, like sustaining their own resources and empowering themselves. So what I feel like the point of what I'm saying today is that we can actually start empowering children through design thinking, so we can turn the page on a future where children can empower themselves and empower their societies, also through the use of design thinking. Thank you.